everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk Physical Media. I am your host, John, and this is the weekly show where we talk about everything in the world of physical media. And it was actually a pretty damn busy news week, and I kind of saw this coming after the slow couple of weeks we had. But man, we got some pretty big announcements. The first two that really stood out to me are from Warner Brothers. They're going to be releasing The Nice Guys and Judas and the Black Messiah on 4K Blu-ray on February 11th. Now, I've been anticipating The Nice Guys coming to 4K Blu-ray for a long time. That is probably my favorite film that Shane Black has ever directed. The guy did write Lethal Weapon, so that's what he'll be most known for me. But The Nice Guys is a fantastic buddy comedy in the same vein as Lethal Weapon, starring Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. And this is one of the better movies to come out in the last 10 years. Of course, it takes place over Christmas time because it's Shane Black. But who would have thought Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling would have some great chemistry? Kim Basinger is in this movie. It's always fun to see her pop up nowadays. But this is going to be coming in one of the cheaper Warner Brothers packaging, meaning that it's going to be just a one-disc set, no digital code. I imagine not too many extras, really stripped down packaging. And I hope that both The Nice Guys and Judas and the Black Messiah, which stars two of my favorite actors working today, Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya. Daniel Kaluuya actually won the Academy Award for this movie. Kind of came out at a time where Warner Bros. Was dumping their stuff in theaters and on Max at the same time, I believe. And I remember seeing this in theaters, and I thought the movie was fantastic. Jesse Plemons also gives a great performance in this one. But the one I'm going to be grabbing on day one will definitely be The Nice Guys, even though I love Judas and the Black Messiah. But it's really going to come down to pricing. If these are over $25, that is way too much money for stripped down versions of these 4K Blu-ray releases. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like a year down the line these got better versions than like steelbooks, because also Second Sight announced that they are actually working, I don't know if it was they announced it, but it's being reported that they are working on their own version of The Nice Guys on 4K Blu-ray. And you know what? Second Sight will probably give us all of the extras we could ever imagine, but both of them don't really have too much information out there as far as price and what those extras are going to be. But if Second Sight's working on it, I can only imagine that their version will more than likely be better and give you all the bells and whistles. And Second Sight also made some announcements themselves. They're going to be releasing a couple of David Cronenberg 4K Blu-rays in their beautiful collector's packaging. The first one being The Brood from, I believe, 1979, and then Scanners, which is one of David Cronenberg's most famous movies. Mainly because of the head exploding. That was a huge deal back in the day, a huge special effect. I believe they just fired a shotgun in the back of that head and it just exploded the way it exploded. That movie is famous for starring Michael Ironside, another very famous Canadian actor. David Cronenberg, a Canadian himself. Makes a lot of sense, but this really put David Cronenberg on the map. The Brood's pretty good, but Scanners is fantastic. Now, I don't think we have a Scanners 4K Blu-ray here in the United States, so I imagine that scan will end up in the Criterion Collection or another U.S. distributor, but my guess, it'll end up in the Criterion Collection, very similar to like Videodrome, and how here in the United States we got that 4K Blu-ray while Arrow Video got the UK release. And then this week we also got Shout and Scream Factory's March 2025 announcements. Been waiting a while for this. You know, we're already in January. They seem to be lagging behind the other boutique labels, but hey, what they announced is some pretty good stuff. The big one that stood out to me, might surprise you guys, is Bring It On, celebrating its 25th anniversary. Really excited for that movie to be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Watched that one a lot when I was growing up. Always enjoyed it. Never really been into cheerleading, but hey, this is a pretty damn good cheerleading film. Night of the Creeps, this is a movie that I had actually never seen before, but this is the one that's really getting a lot of fanfare right now, and it stars Tom Atkins, and I love Tom Atkins, so might have to grab this one and check it out for the first time. I love the artwork on it, and also it's going to be coming with like little figurines if you buy like the real collector's edition, and one of them is Tom Atkins. That is pretty awesome, really something there for the collectors. And this is going to be a 3-disc sit, I believe, so that's a pretty big one from Scream Factory. Another one is Forbidden World Collector's Edition. This is another one that I haven't seen, but I have heard of this one because I believe they used the similar sets to a movie that came out the year before, and James Cameron has some sort of involvement with this movie. So that's pretty damn cool, and this is another one that I want to see. I've heard about this one, but I haven't seen it. Another one is Ghost Cat Anzu, another one that I haven't checked out. Shaw Brothers Volume 6. So for all my Shaw Brothers collectors out there, Volume 6 is finally coming out. And then Tommy, the 50th anniversary 4K Blu-ray. If anyone's a fan of The Who and they've heard of their concept album, Tommy, you know, this is the album that got Baba O'Reilly on it, which a lot of people mistake for Teenage Wasteland. But that is probably The Who's most famous album, and this movie's going to be coming out as well, celebrating its 50th anniversary on 4K Blu-ray. So the stuff that really stands out for me from Shout and Scream Factory is definitely Bring It On 4K Blu-ray. That's a day one purchase for me, and I definitely want to grab Night of the Creeps just because I haven't seen it, and it seems like a lot of people are excited about that one, so I'll have to be grabbing that one on 4K Blu-ray at some point. And it's also been reported, this might be from Second Sight, that The Descent is going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Now, this is another one that's been rumored for quite some time. A lot of people have been hearing about this one coming to 4K Blu-ray. It makes a lot of sense. This is one of the better horror films of the 2000s. And I finally caught up to it a little bit later in the 2010s, and it is a phenomenal film. It's also a very scary film, and it also questions why people would do this as a hobby. Now, obviously what ends up happening is what isn't what usually happens, but I could just never be somebody. I'd be too claustrophobic what these people are doing in this movie. And it's also a great story. Like, The Descent is this is why The Descent is one of the better horror films, because it could easily just be a very silly horror film, but you actually do care about these characters and what they're going through, and the visuals for this movie will just translate so well to the 4K Blu-ray format. So I'm really happy to see this one coming to 4K Blu-ray. Again, we don't have an official announcement on this one, but I'm still really glad to hear this one coming. And now, these are some rumors that have only been reported by one source, but they're really exciting rumors and do make a lot of sense, and they're both supposedly coming from Lionsgate 4K Steelbooks, and that's You're Next and The Third Man. We've been talking about The Third Man because The Third Man does have a UK 4K Blu-ray release. Same thing with You're Next, that has a Second Sight 4K Blu-ray release. So it would make sense that both The Third Man and You're Next would be coming to 4K Blu-ray here in the United States through Lionsgate. So I don't know if it's going to be through the Lionsgate limited site, because again, we don't have an official press release and it's only being reported on by one source. And I usually like to wait till at least two sources, but these do seem very logical releases. You're Next having a UK 4K release, of course, eventually it would get a United States release. Having a Lionsgate limited 4K Steelbook would make a lot of sense. And then, of course, The Third Man, one of the most famous movies ever. That one, of course, would get a United States 4K Blu-ray release. Now, from Lionsgate through the Steelbook, that's a little bit surprising. I expected that to be a Criterion 4K Blu-ray release because I know that they handled the previous release, but that did go out of print, so I imagine the rights did lapse and they probably just transferred over to Lionsgate. Either way, or I've been waiting for this to come to 4K Blu-ray. I love The Third Man, so if that does eventually become official, I'll be extremely excited, and I will be grabbing that on day one. It is being reported that it's going to be released on January 14th. Now, I don't know how true that is, because that's right around the corner, but hey, if it does get announced, I will be picking that one, because that's just something I have to have in my collection. I've been waiting a long time for The Third Man to come to 4K Blu-ray. Been hearing rumors for years, and then it finally got that UK release. I didn't import it, and I'm hoping that my patience finally pays off. And the last movie, and this will definitely get a physical 4K Blu-ray release at some point. I just don't know when, but you can right now buy it 4K digitally, and that's the movie Con Air, one of my favorite action movies of the 1990s. It's silly as hell. Nicolas Cage is bouncing in and out of his accent, but it's such a good time. You have John Malkovich in this movie as Cyrus the Virus, and apparently he didn't really have a great time making this movie because the script kept changing, but either way, this movie turned out to be fantastic in my opinion. It's not a great movie, but it's so entertaining. I always love to run back to Con Air. It's one of the rare John Cusack movies I like, and apparently the digital release also has a Dolby Atmos track, but it's being reported that's not a great Atmos track, but I won't buy the movie digitally just because I'll be waiting for that physical 4K Blu-ray release where things aren't compressed. It's very hard to judge something based digitally because no matter what, even in the best digital quality, it's still going to compress some stuff, and especially in the audio department, so I can't judge the audio and visuals on a digital release, and I won't be picking it up digitally, but that means that the door is open for a future physical 4K Blu-ray release of Con Air, and that really excites me. Let's hope that it comes sometime in 2025 because I would love to have Con Air in my 4K Blu-ray collection. That seems like something that Kino Lorber would release on 4K Blu-ray and Arrow Video would release in the UK. You know, something very similar like The Usual Suspects, The Silence of the Lambs. Like, that kind of feels like their type of release, so I would not be shocked if Kino Lorber gave us Con Air on 4K Blu-ray, and I'll be ecstatic to grab that one on day one. But that's everything that was announced this week on 4K Blu-ray and in the world of physical media. Let me know what you guys are most excited for. Leave those comments in the comments section below, and while you guys are down there, don't forget to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships, guys, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo, or even a channel director like Frank from Frank's Media Reviews and Mr. Smelly Potato, you can look for all that information in the description below. But if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't you worry about it at all. We just hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.